Hello everyone, this is update for August 17, 2022, day 175 of the war and of the date of date. This will be pretty short update. Overall, the situation is pretty much not moving. There are some small gain by Russian forces, but really there is no sort of big advances. It's just slow grind happening on both sides. There were no new attacks by HIMARS systems, to our knowledge, today. So we're not sure if there is not enough rockets or whatever the plan is. But nevertheless, let's just start with the walks through the front line. We're going to start from the very north and kind of move down south. Situation along the state border remains relatively quiet. There are some reports by Russian side which should be taken with a grain of salt that Ukrainian commando sort of units are infiltrating on Russian territory and laying anti-tank mines there. And there's some blown up truck in Kursk region and so on. We're not sure if this is true. I just want to share what we're seeing there, reported by Russian sources. Now let's move to Kharkiv area. There's a little bit of change here. Basically, there's no new activity along in this buffer zone that Russian command has built. However, it looks like Russian command is trying to eliminate Ukrainian bridgehead here on the eastern side of Siversky Donetsk, near Chuguyev. The attacks were from Lebyazhe towards Maryinka, and similar situation in Pechenigi. There is a really tiny bridgehead there, so it looks to us that this is just sort of tactical local attack, nothing really major here. Now let's move to North Donetsk front line and see what's going on there. Oh, sorry. Actually, let's move to Izyum bridgehead. Things here a little bit more active. Nothing really new. So typical attack and fighting in Bogorodechne. Then there's fighting in this Dolina / Mazanivka / Krasnopilya area. This typical area. The only new attack was towards village Novomykhaylivka. That's something sort of unusual and new. Otherwise, the front line remains stable, no changes here, pretty much everything the same as it used to be so far. Let's actually now finally jump to North Donbass section of the front line. Also, attacks here were sort of relatively weak, but they were in several areas. So first of all, there's attempt to capture this village of Avdiivka, then towards Vesele and Bilogorivka. The idea here is actually it looks like Russian troops hitting the wall in Soledar and Bakhmutske. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to kind of get it by basically creating sort of threat of the pocket, basically trying to basically break out from the flanks and kind of like attack this whole area, Bakhmut and Soledar, from north, from the flank, as opposed to doing frontal attacks, because there's no new reports of this frontal attacks here in Bakhmut, which, if we remember, Russian troops, specifically Wagner mercenaries, they managed to capture some foothold on the eastern outskirts of Bakhmut. But it looks like it's super hard to go, kind of move forward, or it means really high losses, infantry losses. So they decided to stop and trying to develop sort of attack by outflanking this whole area. Nevertheless, they still continue frontal attacks in Soledar and Bakhmutske, which lead to nowhere so far. Then let's look a little bit south. Typical areas, Zaitsevo, Kadema. So without frontal attacks, without much success. here. And then there are new areas a little bit. This is what we're seeing from, I believe, yesterday or the day before yesterday. Russian troops attacking from this Horlivka. This is Horlivka here, relatively big town. They're attacking from this area. One is towards Zalizny here, and then in this direction. So again, the idea apparently is to kind of like to create sort of like this southern pincer and southern pincer and northern pincer to squeeze out Ukrainian troops from Bakhmut Soledar area, because as we mentioned, frontal attacks are not really working well, and so there is sort of change of strategy or attempt to capture this area by outflanking Ukrainian troops here and force their withdrawal. Now, remains to be seen if it's going to be successful. So far, it does not look so. Now let's move to area straight west of Donetsk, where we have a lot of fighting, and there were very difficult situations for Ukrainian troops here near Pisky. Russian attacks continue here. This area remains active. And we're gonna actually jump and look a little bit more in detail, because this is too high level map. And then there is attack in Maryinka, which is so far going to nowhere. One area where Russian troops are gaining some ground, and unfortunately we don't know to what level and where exactly is this attack towards Novomykhaylivka. So our understanding that fighting is probably already happening in the village. So essentially what this probably means that this salient is being kind of in the process of being destroyed by Russian troops. We don't know exact details, unfortunately, about this. As soon as we know, we will provide update. Now let's actually look a little bit more in detail at this situation near Pisky. So this is the most recent situation. So as you can see, Russian troops are basically pushed out Ukrainian forces behind this road. It's kind of like a circle road around Donetsk. So before Ukrainian, and let's just actually look at the beginning, Ukrainian troops controlled Pisky, and as you can see, they were kind of like here, right, like sort of on the outer side of the road, and there was a pretty important stronghold here. There is a coal mine, which was pretty much immediately captured. So this was on August 7, right? So 10 days later, this is what's happening. Russian troops captured Pisky, which is the main achievement so far, and they managed to squeeze Ukrainian troops behind this road. That's so far what they managed to achieve, and also they initiated fighting for village Pervomaysky. So, I mean, it looks very sort of small over 10 days. But at the same time, we need to realize that defensive positions of the Ukrainian army were pretty strong here in terms of engineering. So this, if the attack was not planned out carefully, that would lead to heavy losses that Russian side cannot sustain right now. So, well, the losses are still there, but at the same time, they are trying to avoid extremely high losses or prohibitively high losses, right? So, and for that reason, there is extensive use of artillery, of the thermobaric weapons. Pretty much everything that could be used is being used here. And as a result, Ukrainian forces, specifically 56th Brigade, has suffered very heavy losses, casualties here in Pisky area. And the sort of ability to continue defensive actions are probably pretty limited of the 56th Brigade. We suspect there is some other new units, fresh units from Ukrainian side here to kind of prop up defenses of the 56th Brigade, but we don't know details what sort of new units are here. And then also Russian troops attacking towards Nevelsky. This is village Basically, the idea is to kind of move north and create again threat to the flank of Ukrainian defenses in Pervomaisk, essentially. However, the main move here is really towards, there will be attack towards Vodene and then further north towards Severne in order to create the threat to the flank of Ukrainian units in Avdiivka. But so far as you can see, this whole plan is working extremely slow. Now let's move to Zaporizhzhia front line. There were some activities yesterday around this Pavlivka-Volodar area. Nothing really major so far here. Was relatively quiet. Probably more towards because of the regrouping of Russian forces rather than anything else. Otherwise, this section, starting from basically Vilna Pole and going west to Kaminsky, is totally on pause and well, not quiet, probably not the right word, but there are no active fighting, no active attacks there. Now let's move to Kherson bridgehead, our last sort of destination. There only was one attack at this bridgehead and the northern, sort of northeastern section of the bridgehead, which was not successful. Otherwise, things here on the entire bridgehead are stable, no essential changes, just basically tactical fighting, exchange of artillery fire. As we mentioned before, the logistics for Russian troops is more difficult. Nevertheless, it still functions at reduced rate, and this still allows Russian command to sort of maintain these forces here in capable sort of situation, meaning like there is enough ammunition to defend this bridgehead and even do the small tactical local attacks. Yes, it is harder, much harder for them, but they still manage to sort of survive. Let's put it this way. That's the best way to describe it. So remains to be seen. And obviously, Ukrainian command only did sort of half of the job that needs to be done to truly create shortages and difficulty for Russian side on this bridgehead. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.